Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would share some recommendations for Criterion films. So I'm sitting here in my Criterion hallway in front of my full shelf of Criterions, but I thought I would make some recommendations in anticipation of what I'm hoping will be a flash sale very soon. Again, I don't know if there will be one, but it seems like there's been some talk about some kind of a flash sale, usually 24-hour sale on the Criterion website in March. So I thought I would make some recommendations about some films that I really enjoy, and I really tried to pick some things that I haven't really talked about before. But as you can see, I've got a full shelf of Criterion here of all the films that I love that I've purchased over time, and I could recommend all of these probably, but I've only picked a few for today's video. And of course, I wish I had all the Criterion films. It's one of my favorite labels, as you know, from the channel, and but I've only have, I think, a little over 350 titles at this point. But I'm hoping to add a few more, either through this flash sale that's coming up. I'm hoping that there will be one, like I said, or the Barnes & Noble sales, which happen twice a year now, I think. Once in the summer sometime in July, and then once in, I think, the October-November timeframe. So the first one I'm going to recommend here is, I was really trying to pick some directors that I am a big fan of, that I regularly revisit. And this one is one of my favorites, and it's a Jim Jarmusch movie called Down by Law, which is really an amazing, funny, dramatic film. This happens to be spine number 166, and there's the back of that one. So, of course, with any Criterion release, lots of extra features on this one. I just love the commentary by Jim Jarmusch. Any kind of interviews with him or footage of him, I really enjoy. So this one has a newly restored transfer supervised by Jarmusch with an audio interview with him, an interview with the director of photography also. The other thing that Jarmusch does on these is, and I think he's done these on most, if not all, of the releases represented in the Criterion Collection, is he does a great Q&A, and it's basically just a screenshot of some kind and then him answering questions. And I just love to put that on. It's one of my favorite things to put on and just listen to some of the things that he talks about, because he'll recommend books, other films. He'll just talk generally about experiences on the film, and I really, really enjoy that part of it. So this one also has recordings of phone conversations, very funny actually, between Jarmusch and Tom Waits, Roberto Benigni, and John Lurie, which, speaking of John Lurie too, there's a great, of course, John Lurie does there's a Criterion, one of my first Criterions that I always talk about is Fishing with John, but there's a great new John Lurie show on HBO Max called Painting with John, which is really great. It's in the second season. I absolutely love it. It's only about 20 minutes, but if you have HBO Max, highly recommend that. But I could talk a lot about this film, but I love this film. I really, really enjoy it. Love the music, love the performances. It's in black and white, and it is from 1986. So that's one of my first recommendations, Down by Law. Next up, I'm a big fan, a huge fan of Albert Brooks, and so this is one of my favorites also, Defending Your Life. Now, of course, there's a couple of films represented in the Criterion Collection. Lost in America is one of them, and this one was released, I think it was I want to say last year, but this is spine number 1071, and there's the back of that one, also with some extra features. Albert Brooks is someone who I could also listen to talk for hours. There's a new interview on this one with theologian and critic Donna Bowman about Brooks' vision of the afterlife. So this movie has to do with what could potentially happen after you pass away, after you die, right? And you go to this place called Judgment City, and there's a whole, I mean, it's hilarious, actually, his vision of the afterlife. So, but I was looking on here, too, to see, this also has excerpts from interviews conducted in 1991 with Brooks. This has, another new conversation between Brooks and filmmaker Robert Wide. So this is great too. And again, I love listening to Albert Brooks. He's so funny. He's so articulate. He's so detailed. I just love listening to him. There are certain people I could listen to talk for hours, and he's definitely one of them. So highly recommend this one, Defending Your Life. This is one of the later releases too. This is after spine number 1000, 1071, as I mentioned. Another one of my favorite, absolute favorite directors. So nice to see him represented in the Criterion Collection. This is a Brian De Palma film, Dressed to Kill. Really, really like this one. There's the back of that one. And this one is spine number 770. So this is a great movie, a really amazing film. It's basically, I'm going to read the back a little bit here too. Dressed to Kill revolves around the grisly murder of a woman in Manhattan and how her psychiatrist, her brainiac teenage son, and the prostitute who witnessed the crime try to piece together what happened while the killer remains at large. Really great suspense movie, amazing work. One of the classics, I think, from Brian De Palma. And this also has New Conversations. Brian De Palma is another director who I could listen to talk for hours. And there's a new conversation between De Palma and Noah Baumbach, who's also represented in the Criterion Collection. New interviews with actor Nancy Allen. The Making of Dressed to Kill, a 2001 documentary. Many, many more extra features on this one. I love this movie. It's a classic, Dressed to Kill. I got a pile over here. Again, speaking of favorite directors, I may have talked about this director on the channel quite a bit too, but Robert Altman is one of my favorite directors, and this is one of his films. Also, his films are well represented in the Criterion Collection. This is The Player, really a take on Hollywood and the system there, and really creative, amusing, sarcastic take on the Hollywood system. And there's the back of that one. And this happens to be spine number 812. And this is a movie from 1992 starring Tim Robbins. And Tim finds himself caught in a criminal situation that would be right at home in one of his movie projects in the biting industry satire from Robert Altman. This also has an audio commentary with Robert Altman, new interviews with actor Tim Robbins, associate producer. Robert Altman's Players, a short documentary about the shooting of the film. So this is one of my favorite Robert Altman pictures. Of course, I love most, if not all, of Robert Altman's work, but I love this one. I haven't talked about this one on the channel before, I don't think, so wanted to bring this one up. Highly recommend it. If there is a flash sale, this is one I would pick up, definitely. And let's see what else we have here. Also another director well represented in the collection, and that would be Wes Anderson. And this is one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies. Of course, so many favorites. I have many of his films up here on the shelf, but this is one I picked up because it's one of my favorites. The Royal Tenenbaums. Highly recommend this one. There's the back of that, and you can see how many extra features there are on that one. I love the artwork on this as well, and this happens to be spine number 157. And we'll just open this one up too a little bit. I just love this artwork on the inside. There's the inside of that, very much like the cover. These kind of muted colors. The Royal Tenenbaums. This is a great movie. A very kind of a quirky story. As it's termed on the back here, a stylized study of melancholy and redemption from Wes Anderson. And that's essentially a great way to describe it. Very interesting characters that he puts together in these movies. And this has interviews, behind the scenes footage, the Peter Bradley Show featuring interviews with additional cast members, scrapbook featuring young Richie's murals and paintings, still photographs, radio segments, again, loaded with extra features. Highly recommend this one, but there are many Wes Anderson movies represented in the Criterion Collection. So if you don't like this one, or maybe this one isn't your favorite, you can pick another one. Like I said, I have a few of his other films on the shelf here too. Another film that I really enjoy is David Mamet's House of Games. And I had this on a DVD, I think, for many, many years, and eventually picked up the Criterion Collection release of it. This is spine number 399. And David Mamet, I love as a playwright, as an artist, as a creator, and this is one that he directed and wrote, of course. And it's essentially a thriller. And I don't want to give too much away about the story, but it's very creatively done. It's from 1987. This one also has an audio commentary from Mamet, and as I mentioned, for some of the other films, I would love to listen to David Mamet talk for hours and hours, for sure. Interviews with actors Lindsay Krause and Joe Mantegna from 2007. David Mamet on House of Games, a documentary shot on location during the film's preparation and production. Details from the storyboard. And let's see, look at the inside of this one, which I was looking at earlier today. It's great because you kind of have this screenplay type format for the booklet, which I thought was really good. It's not the actual screenplay or anything like that, but it does have articles on the inside here too. So really enjoy this one. If you're not familiar with David Mamet's work, this is a good place to start. It's one of his earlier movies, and of course he's a playwright as well. House of Games, really recommend that one. Let's see, I've got a couple more here. Really saddened to hear of the death of Monica Vitti, and so I was thinking about Antonioni, and the first film I started with from Antonioni is this movie, and it features a great performance by Monica Vitti, and that is Laventura. And of course this is a trilogy of movies from Antonioni, and some would say 4 films because there is a 4th film that some consider part of this particular arc. But this is a great movie. It's an iconic piece of challenging 1960s cinema and a gripping narrative on its own terms. Laventura concerns the enigmatic disappearance of a young woman during a yachting trip off the coast of Sicily. So again, Monica Vitti, I think one of her best performances. So sad that she's gone now. This has an audio commentary from film historian Gene Youngblood. This also has Antonioni documents and testimonials, a 58-minute documentary. Writings by the director, New English translation. Let's just open this one up as well. Again, beautiful artwork as it does match kind of the theme of the cover, which is great. I just love these releases. And this is, again, the first movie that I started off with from Antonioni. Highly recommend it. This happens to be also an early release from the Criterion Collection, Spine number 98. So this is a really amazing film. I don't know if I showed the back there, but there's the back of that. You wanted to check out the extra features there. So this last one is a movie from John Ford, and it is Henry Fonda in My Darling Clementine. And I've seen this movie before, but I caught part of it on TCM, or Turner Classic Movies, here in the U.S. And what an amazing film this is. Very great, stylized Western. And I've been watching a lot of Westerns for some reason over the winter time. But this happens to be Spine number 732. And Henry Fonda, of course, one of my favorite actors. And this is a film from 1946, 97 minutes. It really essentially tells the story of the OK Corral, the shootout at the OK Corral. But as it says in the back, multi-layer, exceptionally well-constructed Western, one of the director's very best films. And I would totally agree with that. John Ford, I'm a big fan of as well. This also has a 103-minute pre-release version of the film, a new audio commentary featuring John Ford biographer Joseph McBride, comparison of 2 versions of the film by preservationist Robert Gitt. This I was looking to see too, because a lot of these I look for interviews with the actors. This one doesn't have the interview with Henry Fonda that I was thinking of, but I just love listening to interviews with directors and actors that participate in these productions. And this is one of my very favorite performances of Henry Fonda. And I don't know if I showed the back, but there's the back of that. You can see just how many extra features are on that. So that's My Darling Clementine. So those are just a few of my recommendations for some Criterion films to purchase if there is a flash sale, which we're hoping for a 24-hour flash sale here pretty soon. Again, I could recommend all these films in the back of me here, but I wanted to pick just a few of the titles that maybe I haven't talked about on the channel before. Thanks so much for watching today. If you have a favorite Criterion release, certainly let me know in the comments below. I love to keep the dialogue going in the comment section below. If you have any questions, etc., that would be great. If you like this video, click on like. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. Lots of great things coming up in 2022 on the channel. I sincerely hope that everyone is safe and well, and I'll talk to you soon.